Good afternoon everyone, and welcome back to the Wonderland Asylum. We are back with issue 10 of the Hachette partworks release of Titanic, the ship, the legend. Okay, so as always, looking at the magazine, we have an article on the band, led of course by Wallace Hartley. We have an article on shipyards and politics, because obviously there were coal strikes etc. going on at the time the Titanic was built. The gymnasium aboard the Titanic, which featured an electric camel. I won't give a prize, but I'll be very impressed if anyone can tell me what video game featured the electric camel aboard the Titanic. Then we have information on the lifts, which apparently had couches in the lifts. And then we're on to the instructions, the crux of the matter. So, what are we doing in this issue? Before I move on to check out the parts, what I will tell you is this is now the first time that I've received 4 issues at once. I've already done issue 9, but they did send me issue 9, 10, 11 and 12 out, along with the free gift, which was advertised, I'm reliably informed, on the Hachette Partworks website as this delivery will include a pocket watch, which, if you remember, on the free gift list, I'm sure it's down here somewhere. Yep, there we go. The pocket watch. That looks beautiful, doesn't it? However, I don't quite know how I'm going to tell the time on this pocket watch. You know, oh well, it's a precision screwdriver set. Every bit as useful to me. But without further ado, let's check out the parts. Okay, so here we have our little brown box. Taped shut this time, which it wasn't last time. And inside this, we have our parts. I believe that is all. Yep, that's it. You can see all the way through. And lovingly wrapped in the tissue paper, we have another piece of the keel. We have our screws, and we have our engine details. So for this, we will need both the hull and the engine. Now I've already got the engine over, because as we all know, I can't resist turning it. So what we're going to be adding essentially are details to the top of the engine here, and then we're going to be adding, as I say, this piece to the bottom of the keel, which should stabilise it and allow it to sit on the little bracket more easily. But without further ado, let's get going. So here we have the larger details for the engine. Now what we're doing is we have one very small one with a flat top. We have one medium-sized one with a kind of extrusion on the top there that you can just about see, I hope. See there? And then we have 2 of the larger ones which also have an extrusion out the top, looking just like that. So these ones are labelled B, the bigger ones. That one is labelled C, and the smallest one of all is labelled D. So the small one goes on this piece of the engine here, and as you can see there are 2 holes. It does tell you it's just a push fit with no glue required, but that's because the holes are hexagonal and the pins are cylindrical, so we shall see. So just line 2 pinholes up and push it in, if it will go in, which mine isn't. There we go. Yeah, that holds itself in pretty well. You can see just there. Now next, into the one next to it, we are taking part 10C, which is the medium-sized one with the extrusion, and that pointy piece should go towards these two other pointy pieces in the middle. So yeah, that extrusion should go towards the other two extrusions. So again, just lining the pins up with the holes, and give it a push down. It's quite, I'll be honest, it's quite difficult to see black pins against black holes, but again, there we go. Fits in quite nicely, and it does indeed add a nice little bit of detail. And then the two bigger ones, they will go on to either side with, again, the pointy extrusions facing towards the middle of the engine rather than the outside. Again, push these down. These ones are a slightly tighter fit. On these ones, one pin is actually bigger than the other, which it wasn't with the other two. So there we go. That's them all on. So now it's time to move on to the smaller engine details. So next are these parts here, which are labelled Part E, and they are the distribution valves. Now they fit on here next to the cylinder heads that we've just fitted, and you can see the curve on the edge will follow the curve of the engine piece itself. So again, it's impossible to put it in the wrong way because they are shaped, and as you can see on the bottom, one pin is larger than the other, and just the same on the other side like that. Now these are the bits here that you're going to need to be careful of, the exhaust valves. Now you can see there's a pin where they will fit into the engine, but there's also that long thin piece. Now what I'm going to do is, purely because I don't want to break them, I'm going to put them in with the tweezers. So they go into the holes on the top of the cylinder heads. So if you line it up and push it down with the tweezers, it goes in just like that. So I'll try one by hand just to see the difference, because if you do not put an equal amount of force, actually they're not too bad, but if you don't put equal force on it, you will just break the pin off, and you don't want to do that, because I'll be honest, I'm very impressed with how detailed this engine is thus far. So that's what it looks like, and again, I can't resist turning the crank. Okie dokie, so now we can put the engine to one side and bring over the keel. And what we're doing is, into these holes that you can see on the bottom, there are 5 of them, we're just going to be offering up this piece here, and you can see where all those holes line up. Okay, so I'm going to get the first one screwed in with one of the screws that they supply. So just get it started, enough to hold it in, and then we can start screwing the other ones in. Now the thing is, they are being screwed, basically it's going into, the screw's going into metal, but it's holding on to a plastic bracket. So you're going to want to be very careful that you don't end up breaking the plastic brackets. So make sure you're getting plenty of downwards force, because see, I'm actually not getting too bad the panel gaps on the hull here. I don't know if it's just because I put a lot of force in when I'm holding the panels together before I screw it in, but yeah, there's a lot of people getting issues with panel gaps. I don't seem to have that at this point. Again, always said I would be honest, and if I found issues I would say so, but I don't seem to be having the issues other people have been having with the panels not fitting together. So yep, and another 2, you can see where the screw holes are, just there. Again, another relatively quick one. I suppose if you're not used to working with fiddlier pieces, then it wouldn't have been a lot of fun. Apologies if you can hear my dogs playing in the background. One of them is a 13-week-old puppy, so yeah, she's a handful. And there we are, the final screw going in there, just like that. Now what I'm reliably informed is that this does make the ship sit a lot more stably on the little brace that you were given in the last issue, and it does feel a lot more stable. So that's all there is to do in this issue. There's a small gap there, but it's nothing disastrous. And there's the engine with the added cylinder details. And again, I'm going to turn it. Yep, can't wait to get more. But yeah, that's us for just now. Thank you very much as always. Okay, so that's us done with the build for today. What do we get in issue 11? Well, we get the first funnel, which should be good. I've had a look already, I've got it here. I'll be doing that within the next few days, I would imagine. But yeah, I'm quite happy with how it's progressing. I've seen all the way up to issue 14, so I know what's coming up until issue 14. And we will be adding a fair bit more of the decking of the ship, but that's what she's looking like so far. That new keel piece, she does sit a lot more stably, and look at that, it just looks incredible. And again, the engine, which will sit further back in the hull with those moving parts. Again, I just love them, they're fantastic. But yeah, so issue 11, 12 and just issue 11 and 12 should be out very soon. Issue 13, 14, 15 and 16 will be coming in a few weeks' time. I will keep an eye out and see what's coming in them all. But yeah, other than that, thanks to you all for watching.